Detroit Lions fall to San Francisco 49ers 31-34, or you could say San Fran defeated the Lions in a great comeback, 34-31, however you want to slice it. Growing up, I loved Barry Sanders. Dan Marino was my guy, but Barry was like 1B. So I have a place in my heart for Detroit Lions. And Dan Campbell is a guy I respect a ton. I wanted to see him win. So I was a little bit upset. I felt my emotional heartstrings kind of getting trashed. So, but it was the theme for the season. I guess it kind of all worked out. But this was a really good game for many reasons. But it is a very clear truth, and it takes my overriding thesis of what I've been saying for about 3 years now, that the NFL is moving to pass balance, and it puts a huge stamp on it. But even more so, for any fan out there who is not high on their quarterback, doesn't consider them the elite of the elite. And I'm probably talking to a lot of Dolphins fans. I'm not saying Tua is or isn't. But with Purdy and Goff, you can see clearly when you take that and add to the difference between Mahomes and Lamar, that the NFL is about defense. It's always been kind of that way. But the pass defense has now really shown that they can slow down this pass attack. Run defense has always been critical to winning a Super Bowl. But the offensive line and the run game is now clearly a must-have if you want to have success, especially if you don't view your quarterback as top-shelf talent. So when you go over this Lions game, you're going to see people talk about should Campbell have kicked or not kicked. You know, you can get into that whole thing. You can get into how the Lions choked. Second half, they had drops, they had opportunities, and they squandered them. And that's a legit thing. But when you look at the framework of this game, it was based on the ability to stop the run, protect, and run the football. Purdy, he was the last guy drafted. Goff, he was unwanted in the Rams. People thought that they were using him to get another quarterback. Both these guys made to the conference championship, and one of them now is going to face Mahomes. And Purdy versus Mahomes is going to be a beautiful, beautiful test because the San Francisco 49ers team is more talented than the Chiefs, but clearly Mahomes is more talented than Purdy, and it's going to be a beautiful chance to evaluate this situation. But all these quarterbacks, Lamar, Mahomes, Purdy, and Goff, clearly you can see how critical the run game is. And in this Lions game, first half, Lions were destroying San Fran. They tallied up about 160 yards on the ground in the first half and 3 TDs on the ground. And it was like, oh, game over. But in the second half, they only added about 20 yards on the ground. And San Fran, who had only about 40 yards in the first half, they were talking about how, McCaffrey's been held in check and, but you got to keep running that football because he'll end up starting to break it out. And that's what happened. That second half, they tacked on about 110 yards on the ground and 3 TDs. And so when you understand, this is the underpinning. This is how these two quarterbacks drove themselves to success and also became stagnant when they weren't able to be supported by a run attack. Now, Lions had a better offensive line, and in that second half, they kind of pounded their heads against the anvil, and San Fran was dialing in some very good calls on rundowns to stop them. And then you add the drops from some of their receivers and some of the poor plays, and you can talk about Campbell calling a field goal or going for it. But it was this interplay of offensive lines against defense, running backs running the football, that set everything up. Both teams, 29 attempts for the Lions, 33 for San Fran. Both these defenses were getting their time to rest, and is why it was so close. Compared to the difference of the Chiefs versus the Ravens, you could see the lopsided plays, 73, I think, to like 57 or 59. Time of possession, it was almost a 20-minute difference. And the yards was only 68 compared to about 20, unless you add, Lamar's running efforts in there, but from the back specifically. But the attempts, 24, I think, to about 6. played a huge difference. Guys, the NFL is pass balanced. That's the sweet spot. It's a must. All these defenses are playing pass, stop the pass. We had Fangio leave us here. Fangio has influenced at least half the league. He was one of the first to really start breaking up this easy pass attack that had kind of changed with the rule change in early 2000s. And a lot of other people are going into that as well, whether it's the zero blitz with Flores, it's the cover six with Fangio, and all the little slices in between. But when you focus on trying to stop this pass, it opens opportunities for the run game. And if you cannot take advantage of it, it puts you on a very, very hard track to be successful. And so all the GMs out there can be evaluated in one clear way. What's their vision of what their offense should be? And is it fighting the last war of heavy pass, speed, finesse? Or is it fighting the new war where speed and finesse is very important? You could see with Detroit's offensive players and Deebo Samuels and Kelsey and, what's that rookie they drafted over with the Lions? Clearly, the pass game is there, and speed and finesse is important, but physicality, the ability to be run, pass, balanced, and have effect inside in your run game as well as the perimeters is key. So is your GM seeing the future in his build, or is he looking to the past? And that's going to help you determine where your GM is at as far as his ability to be ahead of the curve rather than chasing the past or the new curve. And so, I really am excited for this test between Purdy and this San Fran team versus Mahomes and the Chiefs team. Both these teams have a very similar build, even though they have different quarterbacks. Now, I still have resentment over Dan Marino getting beat by the San Fran. I still never stopped hating them. But from an evaluator standpoint, this Super Bowl is going to be extremely interesting. If somehow Purdy can win against a much better quarterback with the right build, it's going to say tons about opportunities for other teams out there. Now, conversely, if the better team loses to the Chiefs, who have a good team, a very good team, but it is thinner, it's not as broad-based with the talent, but obviously a stud of stud quarterbacks, it's going to lend the credence to you must have the creme de la creme, the oomph of quarterback in order to win. And you could do it against a better team with having a lesser team as long as this quarterback's the top. So this Super Bowl, some people are not happy. They're tired of seeing the Chiefs. I sort of am too, but they're so darn good. And yeah, the refs and there's some weird stuff. But I'm not going to get into all that. But this evaluation point is going to be phenomenal. And if Purdy can win, it says so much about other GM's ability, other potentials for fan bases to look at their quarterback and say, hey, you know what? If we surround this guy with enough, we can get someplace great. So anyway, that's where I'm at, guys. I know I'm probably talking to mostly Dolphin fans, but most of us fans that are watching right now have teams that are not winning Super Bowls. They're not going to conference championships. So it sucks. But when your mind is totally focused on your team, football could be a drag. But if you take your mind out of it and love the game, all the nuances, and just look at the sport, the art itself, after your team doesn't reach its point, you can still have a great time. And that's what this whole thing's all about. Time moves quick, guys. So anyway, Curtis saying, thanks for stopping by. Catch you next time. Be well. See you soon. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.